You're watching WTBR-TV, News Channel 6.
Welcome back. The Byrd Theater is one of Richmond's most beautiful and historic places, and because of its old-fashioned equipment, it's got to be one of the most complicated businesses to run. Speaking of old-fashioned and, well, I don't know about beautiful, gadgets and gizmos guru Bud Myers is there to take us behind the scenes. Hey, Bud.
Ross, thanks so much for that compliment, but it has been 70 years since the Byrd Theater opened on Christmas Eve. That's in 1928. And believe it or not, that technology that opened the theater is still today up and running because of some tremendous efforts by individuals here. You see, back in 1919, the first theater that was called really one of the grand theaters was the Capitol in New York City. And in the next 10 years, some 300 other grand theaters, that's theaters that set over 2,500 seats, actually were built. The Byrd is part of that tradition. Now, Marcus Lowe once said, "We sell tickets to theaters, not to movies." And that's because theaters had to have grand illusion. You see, the movies themselves weren't very good. And so the theater had to make up for that and entertain the customer. Basically, they had to come frolic. It was to create a fantasy. When you go into the Byrd Theater, you're going to see mirrored marble. This is really a wall within a wall. The wall itself is about 18 inches from the actual outside wall, so it's really not a full standing wall. Then as you go to the chandelier, it's basically dazzling. Czechoslovakian crystals, over 5,000 crystals, over 400 lights, and about 4 colors. So it was assembled right here on site. It's too large actually to go through any window itself. Now, even the magical alcoves. When I was a kid, we'd come in and be awed by just the sight, but then after that, we would look at the alcoves, and amazingly, the harp and the piano would start. It was just amazing. Now today, we have the curator, Miles Rudisill here. Now Miles, the actual screen itself and the screen here wasn't the way it used to be.
No, the original screen was about 4 feet from the back wall, and it was rather small by today's standards. And this big screen was put in 1953 with the advent of CinemaScope.
Now I understand the actual curtain, the waterfall curtain, was designed by Fred Bishop, the original architect.
That's right. The original curtains, they had 2 of them. One they called a scrim that came in over the screen, and then the velvet curtain, which was the house curtain. They were original, and this curtain now was replaced by Fred Bishop in 1953, and he was the architect. That's why it looks so good.
Okay, now what you're seeing now is the actual behind the scenes. You see the 3 speakers. I have Gadget Jr. there to show you the size of the speaker compared to him. We're looking at speakers that only really use 1 watt. Behind there was where the original screen was, which was about a 16-foot screen. Now, you'll come back, we're going to show you the organ, we're going to show you behind the organ, in, outside, up, and above. So stay tuned for the next segment, and we will show you exactly how the mighty Wurlitzer came to be. Now, back to Ross.
All right, Bud and Gadget Jr., thanks a lot, fellas. We'll see you in a little bit. Coming up on News Channel